I will try to watch my language today. All right. All right. Well, good morning. My name is Brian Mills. I'm the Director of Campus Recreation and Wellness. I've been at this university for about 3.5 years now. I came on in summer of 2017. This building was under construction when I got here. The day that I interviewed back in April of 2017 I interviewed on a Thursday, and on Friday they did the groundbreaking. And so I got to see the cleared out plot and a bunch of stakes and pink, you know, visible tape. And so I was like, yeah, it's going to be really cool. So I got here, and so I watched this building come up from literally the ground up. I spent my first full year over in the SSCB building running the fitness room. So some of you may know what that is. If not, it's on the second floor, right above the admissions office. 3,000 square foot of space. It had about 90 pieces of equipment, all that was pretty old, that had all been purchased back in 2003, 2005, in that range. And it was what they used for the better part of 15 years. So before Clear Lake, I spent 5 years at University of Houston main campus. I was the assistant director for intramural sports, sport clubs, and family programming. So through my program alone at U of H, we had around 140 flag football teams, 150 basketball teams, 80 to 90 volleyball teams, kickball. We had 27 sport club teams that were all super engaged and played in a lot of different leagues. I ran a very successful summer camp program that we started back in summer of 2013. By the time I left, we were seeing about 150 kids a summer, generating about $140,000 in revenue from that. Before U of H, I was at Stephen F. Austin in Nacogdoches, Texas, which is where I'm actually from. I spent 6 years there. When I was at SFA, we opened up our new building that just turned 14 years old last week. And same thing, I was the assistant director for intramural sports, sport clubs, and summer camps. 2 years at Texas A&M Commerce, a year getting my master's degree at Ohio University, a year at Rice University as a coordinator, and I got my degrees in history and government from UT Austin back in the early 2000s. So that's just a little bit about me. I met my wife through Campus Recreation and Wellness. I had never been in Campus Rec, had never officiated anything in my life. I wasn't very active growing up except for Boy Scouts. Didn't play sports in high school. I was a band president and loved band. I did that through my sophomore year of college. And when I transferred to UT, started officiating and just absolutely fell in love with Campus Rec. I still officiate high school sports. Taking this year off because I don't trust Texas high school coaches to make the good decisions when it comes to global pandemics. That's just me. So yeah, so that's pretty much a little bit about me. So I'd like, give you all a chance to kind of introduce yourselves as well and let me know who you are. So Colin, why don't you go first, because I know you a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my name's Colin Brock. I'm a psychology major here, and this is my last semester, I hope, before I graduate. And I was a member of the Council Recreation Board last year as the chair, and so it's, what else should I say? I'm thinking. Oh, so I'm interested in powerlifting. I had my first meet earlier this year, and it's just been, I've really enjoyed just using the rec center and gotten a lot out of it in terms of I really love the facility, and the people there are always great. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I think I'll just leave it at that right now.
Oh, you're good, man. All right, Ms. Baker, you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. Well, my name is Julie, and like we were talking earlier, I'm a mom of 7, 4 of which are still at home. One actually is at SFA in Nacogdoches.
Yeah.
One of them has gone to Texas State in San Marcos. One of them was at Tyler for a year. I'm doing life backwards, as I tell people. I didn't start college until 2017. And so I have a love for fitness and students. I taught at a private school for about 5 years. And the last year I was there, I taught PE, which was the best thing ever. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Excellent.
So my major is kinesiology and education. Ideally, I would love to work more with the kinesiology side of it than the education side of it. And that's about all I got.
That's awesome. You have a kiddo at SFA. That's
Yeah, he should be graduating either in May or in August.
excellent.
You know, the pandemic and things kind of threw his schedule off, but yeah, it's a nice campus. I really like it.
It's definitely one of the most beautiful ones in the state by far.
Yeah.
So, all right, Miss Tabitha, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay. So my name is Tabitha. My hometown is Houston. Major is education of young children. I'm currently working at a private school called Poco Nursery School, and this is my second semester at UHCL.
Excellent. And then I think we had Kristen jump on. Good morning, Kristen. How are you? I think she's fiddling with her earphones. That's okay.
Yeah, we're not getting audio.
It's all right. Well, we'll just keep rolling, and if Kristen gets that fixed, we still can't hear you.
Yeah, she says she's having issues with her mic.
Weird.
It happened yesterday. It's okay. If I'll keep the chat up. So if you get it fixed, awesome. If not, then just feel free to keep chatting, typing in any of the comments or anything that you may have right there. So welcome to everybody. Really excited. So first thing I want to do is kind of roll through just a couple of things. Colin and I were kind of joking earlier that we have had this advisory board for 3 years now. The first year we only had it for about the spring semester, and that board was really engaged. The building was going to be opening in 7 months, and so they obviously had a lot of reason to be very engaged and vocal about what they wanted to see. And then in the 2 years after that, our board has really fallen short of expectations. And in 2018-19, we had 13 members, and I want to say maybe one of them actually ended up making it past November in terms of staying engaged with us, and they just all kind of fell off. And then we revamped that for 2019-20, and luckily we had Colin, who served as the chair, and another co-chair named Mallory Moore, who served as a chair through November, and then we hired her as a graphic designer. And so she resigned her position with the advisory board. She thought there was a little conflict of interest. And so, but Colin and Mallory did an outstanding job of staying engaged. Colin and I met consistently all the way up until the COVID closure in March. And unfortunately, it just kind of went to pot after that. So the reason I'm kind of saying this is that, one, this board is really important for me as a director because I believe in a couple things wholeheartedly. And one of them is that I know for a fact I am not the smartest person in the world, much less ever really being the smartest person in a room. And so I kind of live by the motto of I am not smarter than we. So while I have 21 years of experience in campus recreation and wellness at multiple institutions, multiple sizes, both public and private, I also know that this university presents itself with a lot of very unique challenges that even I haven't had to deal with in my time in campus rec. And so it's really important that this advisory board, to the extent that y'all are possible, to stay engaged with us. We don't ask a whole lot of time, energy, and effort, but it is really important that y'all understand your role with us, which is to give us feedback and ideas about ways that we can get students, honestly, just to care about campus recreation and wellness. And I also say this, and I know every time I say it, especially when like my bosses are in the room or the president and stuff like that, I really don't care if students choose not to participate in campus recreation and wellness, if they choose not to use our building, if they choose not to be engaged in our programs, as long as they're choosing to be active and healthy on their own. Because that's one thing that I've come to learn in all my time is that it doesn't matter how amazing your facility is. It doesn't matter the full scope of the programming that you offer, that the choice to live a healthier life really comes down to the individuals. And I know that we have students, from before I got here to even now, that they have memberships at other facilities that they've probably been a part of for a while. They have found that place to be a space that they enjoy, that they like the environment, they like the people. And so I have zero issues acknowledging that and understanding that like we're not going to be the place for everybody. But what I do hope is that students who are trying to figure it out, that want to start their fitness and wellness journey, that they understand that this is the perfect spot to start. Right. And I'm 41 years old. And like I said, I've worked in campus recreation and wellness since I was 20 at UT Austin. And up until I was 31 years old, I can count the number of times that I ever actually worked out in a rec and wellness center. And again, that's 11 years of working in an actual rec center. I can count the number of times that I worked out on both hands and both feet. I didn't care. I was extremely apathetic about overall holistic health and well-being. I smoked cigarettes. I drank a lot of beer. I stayed up till 2 a.m. playing video games. I was really apathetic about it. And what that did was it led me to finally, when I was 31 years old, I weighed about 285 pounds. And I ended up having to have not one, but 2 back surgeries in 3 months. And that is solely because of the fact that I didn't really understand and or care about this profession that I professed to love so much. Those back surgeries occurred when my wife was handling our 1.5-year-old, and she was pregnant with our second child. So she was 5 months pregnant the first surgery. She was 8.5 months pregnant the second surgery. And pretty much the first year of my youngest daughter's life, I physically could not do anything to help out because I was just in that bad of shape. And so I kind of used my experience through all this to help guide what this department is all about. It's not about lifting weights. It's not about running, a marathon. It's not about, becoming an Instagram model or a bodybuilder. It's about just getting your butt in the facility and starting. And that's what I really believe. That's what I think our purpose is. And I'm very blessed to have gotten this job and this opportunity. And so I hope that y'all see that and everything that I kind of share with y'all. And hopefully y'all can help contribute to what it is that we are actually trying to do here. And y'all can see this picture, The Athletic Business. It's a industry magazine. It's like probably the most popular one. Our rec center was actually named one of the top 10 facilities in the country in 2019. That was out of about 400 submissions. We were one of, I think, 5 collegiate recreation and wellness centers. All the rest were athletic facilities or private clubs. And so we got to go to Florida and accept this honor. And, it's a pretty big deal for us. We were also named Facility of Merit for our national governing body, which is called NIRSA. It's the National Intramural Recreational Sports Association. Over 1,000 institutional members, over 50,000 actual members. So we also won that award. And then we also won an international award for something that was based in France, and it was a design award. I can't even pronounce it, and we didn't get invited to it because we're not that bougie. But anyway, so we won 3 massive awards just because of the facility itself. But I said this when I interviewed. I said it to our first advisory board. I've said it to every board after that. Our building is beautiful. There's absolutely no disputing that. I think we've done an excellent job of putting the best equipment that we can afford into it, but it's just a building. There is nothing intrinsically of value to people because of a building. People aren't going to come here just because it's pretty. They're going to come here because of the value that it adds to their lives. And if the building itself is not going to change somebody, it's what we do with it. It's how we utilize the building. It's the staff that we put into it. It's the programming that we put out to people to get them to come in. And it's showing people that it's like I said, it's a choice that people have to make to choose to want to be healthier. And our vision statement is really simple. Health equals happiness. All right. The healthier you are in all aspects of your life, the happier life you're going to have. And we believe that all the way down to our core. So, all right. So real fast, and we'll just kind of go around. If you want to chime in, what do y'all think CRAB is designed to do? What do y'all think our purpose is as this advisory board?
I can go first unless somebody else wants to jump on it.
I'll go for it, man.
I would say to promote engagement and wellness in the student population, like wherever possible, to make sure that like the barrier to getting healthy isn't lack of information about services, and just to kind of promote a community at the wellness center is, and also, you know, throw in a couple new ideas about the facility, about programs and services and stuff like that.
Tabitha, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Okay. I guess, you know, to promote, you know, a healthier lifestyle, exercising, eating better.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I've had issues with this since last week. All week in meetings, I would try to speak and I would have the exact same issue. So I'm glad I resolved this.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I guess just to piggyback off of Colin and Tabitha, yeah, just getting the information out there, I feel like is a really big part of what this board should be about. And I think just by doing that, we would be promoting the engagement, encouraging community, and yeah, just getting students involved.
Excellent. All right.
All right, my thoughts on that are getting the information out there, but also showing them that health and fitness can be a fun thing, and it's not necessarily something that's boring or time consuming. You know, you don't have to spend, although I spend 2 hours in the gym, you don't have to spend 2 hours in the gym. You know, 30 minutes. Take a quick walk, or, you know, go rock climbing or go hiking, or I think getting information out there and showing students that there's more to health and fitness than a piece of equipment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I emailed everybody a copy of the Constitution and everything, and I'm not going to lie. The Constitution is a document. It's something we had to create to make this board happen. We follow it as best we can, but as I mentioned, the last 2 years of our board has really just been a nightmare. And so I can honestly say, like, we probably haven't followed almost any of it to the letter of the law. We haven't done anything, I think, that's morally or ethically wrong. But Colin can attest, being the former chair for this, is just, I mean, we did the best we could with what we had. But we do have the Constitution in place, and in that Constitution, it explains, like, the purpose. The advisory board reviews and makes recommendations regarding everything from policies, procedures, all the way to budgets. If we ever did run into any sort of issues with disciplinary actions, which I actually have a meeting at 10 o'clock with a kid that we kicked out of the building the first day we reopened in June, because he and 3 of his buddies made some extremely inappropriate racist comments in a locker room. That the only reason we found out about it is because one of our staff happened to be in there cleaning out a locker. And so we suspended him, but you know, it hasn't gotten to the level where I have to get y'all involved with it. But y'all could serve as kind of an appeals board if there was ever a decision that was made and somebody really wanted to go through it. We also, obviously, our number one priority as a department is to serve the needs of the UHCL students. 95% of our budget is dedicated student fees. That is our number one priority. Everything on top of that is extra. All right. So we want to make sure that our facility meets the needs of our students, and then faculty staff is our next biggest kind of clientele, and then alumni, and then the community. But one of the things that I like to think of with this board is that I tend not to make decisions just because I'm the director, especially if they're big decisions that are going to have a fairly large impact. And so anytime we have any like major policy changes or anything like that, I'm always going to at least present that information to y'all and ask for your feedback. And I hope that Colin would agree with this statement. I don't want a bunch of people just to go, oh, well, Brian's the director, so yeah, just whatever he said. If you think I'm wrong, I want you to absolutely tell me in whatever way, shape, or form you are the most comfortable in telling me that I'm not looking at this the right way. If we say that we're going to do something and you go, that is absolutely the dumbest thing in the world, just tell me that. All right. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to get upset. I've got enough people who, for some reason, are like really scared of me and scared that I'm like going to get upset. I mean, Colin's laughing because he knows. I mean, he sat in my office 24 times, and like I have zero issues if somebody disagrees with me, and especially if you disagree and then say, well, here are other things that you're not thinking about, because I absolutely from time to time do put blinders on with some stuff. And so it's important that y'all understand, like, I want 100% honesty from this board. If you have an idea, it doesn't matter how big or small, there's no such thing as a bad idea. There are ideas that we just maybe can't implement at this given time, but that doesn't mean that we can't put it on our radar to say, hey, down the road, we need to be thinking about these things. All right. So charges to the board are really simple. In October, I hope to be able to present y'all just an overview of what our fiscal year budget is for fiscal year 21. I'm not going to lie, we've been working on a budget for this fiscal year since we closed back in March. Spent a lot of time in May on it, and then redid the entire thing in June, had to redo the entire thing in July, started to redo it in August, and then I said, you know what, screw it. I'm done wasting time creating a budget that's just going to change. So we just kind of said, we're good. And so we're going to get back into our budget process, and I'll be able to share with y'all the budget for the rest of the fiscal year in October. And and I don't even, Colin, I showed y'all the budgets from last year, right? Like they're pretty detailed, and they can absolutely be a little intimidating. So I'll try to make sure that it's not something that you just go, what? Program development and expansion. Obviously, we're in COVID, and I'll talk about COVID a little bit later, but we're extremely limited in what we can do with actual in-person programming. So there, again, by October, our hope is to start doing some limited in-person stuff, especially with group fitness and intramural sports. And hopefully we'll be able to share with y'all kind of the rest of the fall semester plan once we get it approved through the Office of Emergency Management and Risk Management. They have to sign off on everything that we want to do in person. And luckily, honest to God, we set the bar for the entire university when we reopened in June. I'm not trying to throw any department or individuals under the bus, but we created our entire reopening plan. We executed that plan with almost zero help from the outside. From signage to staffing to protocols. We were very involved with our national governing body. I met weekly with directors and campus rep from around the state. And so we utilized those resources available to us to create a really in-depth and very thorough plan for reopening, to the point that the president actually made me come on one of their core leadership team meetings, which is all the VPs, to essentially roll out our plan. And then she immediately was like, whatever Mills does, y'all need to follow that, because that's what I want to see. And I'm just like, yeah, baby. So we got to beat our chest a little bit on that. And we have not let up in our planning for COVID. Facility scheduling and operating hours. So again, for those who have been here in the past, we're obviously not operating to the extent that we've operated in previous semesters. And we do not expect or plan to expand those hours anymore. Probably for the rest of the fall semester. I'm not going to say we're not, but there's a very slim chance that we would expand more hours in the fall semester. We're just not seeing numbers that would really dictate that. Our numbers have gone up quite a bit from our first 2 weeks of opening to our second 2 weeks to now. And again, you throw in 2 freaking hurricanes, our numbers are not anywhere close to what they should be. Program facility use eligibility. This is related more to non-student memberships. And again, I think we've got a pretty good non-student membership plan in place, and it has changed from the past, but we simplified it over the summer, and we've got nothing but really positive feedback from our non-student members. Capital projects and improvements. The good news is we don't have any money. So there's not gonna be a whole lot of capital equipment or anything going on, but we do have a field project. And I know that it's going to be hard for y'all to see this, but so that's the STEM building, and this is the backyard, this big green space between the two. And if you look way out over there, that is what we call the rec field. They're mowing it right now. That was actually the construction site where they had their trailers and the workers park and stuff like that. That over the next 6 months there's going to be a big project that's going to level that field space, add irrigation, add light poles. They're going to crown it so it'll drain, and they're building a sand volleyball court. That'll all take place in the next 6 months. And so by fall of 2021, we will have a lit, usable, beautiful field space right at our behind our building, which is going to be incredible. And Colin's like, damn it. So there we got that. There's not going to be any major equipment purchases for y'all to really look at. And then the rest of those things. So again, y'all are going to have a hand in a lot of everything. And the way that I tend to have done this in the past is, again, I will meet with my leadership team, which is my professional staff and grad assistants. I will then meet with y'all. I will then meet with our student staff leadership team. I will then, if everybody's on board with what I'm doing, I then take that to my boss, who then takes it to her boss. So very few things that are a major consequence will ever just be done. And oh, by the way, guys, we decided that we're not going to charge memberships anymore. Thanks. Like, that's not going to happen. Y'all will have a say in stuff. All right. Expectations are really simple. Be professional and respectful when we're having meetings. Again, we're not always going to agree on anything. It's never happened in the past because generally people don't participate or engage in meetings. But if we ever do get into some discussions, just know people are coming from different backgrounds, and it's okay for us not to all agree on everything. If you do use the building, don't walk in and be like, I'm a CRAB member, I can do whatever the hell I want to. Don't do that. I'm a director. I still swipe in. I still make my reservations. I still wear a mask. Like, just be cool. Attend monthly meetings as much as you can. Again, totally understand, especially now. It's really difficult to be able to set aside another hour of your week. And I know I'm zoomed out. I hate Zoom meetings. I cannot wait to do these things in person. So participate as much as you can. We will always record at least one of the meetings. We will always make those available. And like I said, I'll send those out with the hope that people at least, watch some of it. The rest of this stuff is just all kind of basics. Yep, it's all good. So real quick, when COVID happened, the university purchased, and I'm going to share this other screen, Microsoft Teams. So we're obviously using Zoom, but Microsoft Teams is it's a more complex version of Zoom. And so this is my I'm sharing the screen of what Teams looks like. So I'm part of 9 different work teams, the biggest one being my own department. So to show you all this real quick, so inside of our department, the first thing you come to is just post. We can communicate through Teams. So if I wanted to start a new conversation, I can just say, good morning, staff, and send that. Everybody that's on my team will get a notification on their phone that a comment was made. And if they want to say good morning, that's awesome. But you can also like and heart and make frowny faces. You can also add GIFs and stuff like that. But the best part of this is that you can also share files. And so I created a CRAB team for us. You can see I put a little crab on it, so it's crab. So we can have posts, but then we can also share files. So instead of me having to email files to everybody, you can access anything that we put on Teams. I'm pretty organized with these. We also got we got a lot of kudos from President Blake because she wanted access to our teams folder. And again, in that core leadership team made the comment that she has not seen the organization from a department to the level that we've done. And so again, I'll use this as an example. So just like having a share folder, we have folders for every single thing we do. So in our CRW admin docs, literally every single meeting that we've held since the middle of March is in here. And just like I'm doing on my other screen, I can go back and look at it and all my notes are in red. And so she was able to go back and look at every single meeting and process that we discussed and how we evolved to where we ended up landing. So again, y'all are going to have access to this. If you do have any issues, just let me know, but I have added everybody to this and you should have gotten an email about it. So in the CRAB agendas folder, you can see that here's this agenda. And again, I'm going through and I'm typing in notes in red, and then it's just available to y'all. And the PowerPoint I'm using is also available. You can look at PowerPoints in Teams, but you can't edit PowerPoints in Teams. It doesn't have that ability, but you can edit Word documents and Excel documents directly into Teams, and that it automatically updates it for everybody. So yeah, so we'll have that available to us. Good morning, Ms. Whitaker, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
All right, real fast, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. I'm Janae. I'm a transfer student. My major is healthcare administration, and I'll graduate in next December.
Excellent. Where did you transfer from?
I did San Jac and Texas Women University.
All right. I always wanted to work at Texas Women's University.
Oh, it's an amazing school. I went to the location downtown, or the medical center. It's amazing.
Yeah, my wife was actually going to go there for her master's degree, but then she ended up coming to UH Clear Lake. Yay!
Hey.
All right. So one of the other things that we did change last year, and Colin, you feel free to jump in on this, but we created a chair and a vice chair position to help organize and kind of run the day-to-day of the advisory board. So Colin served as the chair, Mallory Moore served as the vice chair. And like I said, once we hit November, those are the only two members that ever actually did anything. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. We're not going to take nominations for the chair today. We're going to do that in October. But I put the information on here. And again, this is outlined in the Constitution. But what I was thinking was that I would create a nomination form, and you can nominate yourself. It'll just be a Google form that you can just fill out basic info. And then in the October meeting, I'll say, all right, here's all the people that nominated themselves, and we'll just do one nomination, and the top two vote getters will be chair and vice chair or co-chairs. I don't really care what the names are. And then we can do a vote. And if people wanted to get up and talk for a minute or two about it, then we can do that as well. But Colin, anything you want to share about being the chair last year? How awesome it was?
Well, so what I want to say is, first of all, if anybody has any questions, if anybody's interested in the prospect, I'm not going to be trying to be chair because I'm graduating. So if you have any questions about like what the expectations are in terms of role, the time commitment wasn't too great. It was really just trying to get a format in which I could communicate with everybody, and they would communicate back, and finding out, since everyone's schedule was all over the place, and I'm not sure how COVID will affect this, but
It hasn't changed, trust me.
just getting feedback from people about the different things we were trying to talk about, and also keeping people engaged. So it's really just a matter of how many people are going to be consistently present, either through meetings or just responding to certain agenda items. And so I think it really just is mostly about like getting people on the same page, and also communicating with Brian about any concerns or any items that we feel like we want to bring up. So yeah, if anybody has questions or is interested in being a chair, I'll leave my email just in there you want to reach out and ask for, be like, hey, so what was it like? What are primarily the things you guys are focused on? It'll be very different for COVID, but yeah.
And Colin did a really good job, especially once we got into the spring semester. We were trying to do some data gathering on ways to engage non-participants. So I have the ability to pull a report of every student, what we call distinct users. So Colin comes to the building frequently, but he only counts as one person. But he may come in 50 times, so he's 50 participants, but he's one person. And so we were looking at ways to engage distinct users. And so Colin had put together a plan to conduct a focus group or 2 or 3, because he, again, psychology major, and he was going to actually ask people that were in his classes to participate in those focus groups, since, you know, we just kind of took a guess and said there's probably not a lot of them that are coming, and he was going to try to gather some information about that. So the chair position, like you said, is going to help organize the meetings, communicate, and things like that, but then also come up with ways to maybe help further some of the things that we as a department need, which is data collection and stuff like that. Because it's one thing if I say, hey, we're doing a focus group and the director is going to facilitate. Again, people are scared. They don't want to say something and fear that, you know, they're going to get laughed at, or like that, you know, we're just going to ignore it. But when they see students taking the lead, they tend to let their guards down a little bit. They tend to be a little bit more honest. They tend to say like a little bit more. And so that's one thing that we definitely want to be able to utilize everybody on this committee for, but the chairs would help kind of put that together. So.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that. Right now, maybe more than any other time, I think it's super important for people to take time out of their week to focus on their health. And it, like, there's the physical aspect, obviously, but just so many people are getting reduced social contact, and so it's easy to get kind of down if you're just kind of cramped in your own space for a while. So I think it's super important to find ways to engage people and kind of remind them to take some time out to take care of themselves.
Absolutely. And like Colin also said, with the time commitment, I would meet with the chairs probably every 2 weeks, just check-ins, and we can do those virtually. They don't have to be in person. And then the advisory board meetings themselves, again, tend to try. We've never been able to have one meeting. We've always had to do multiple meetings. At one point, 2 years ago, I was doing 4 meetings a month, the exact same things, and it was just killing us. So now with between Zoom and Microsoft Teams, we have a much better communication tool available to us. And like I said, I know 8 o'clock on a Monday is not ideal. You know, it is what it is. So we'll try to find times that work for as many people as possible. So, all right, so I'm going to share with y'all some faces and names, so that way y'all know. But obviously, Dr. Blake's the president of the university. Most of you should have probably seen her at some point in your time here. She does get out of her office and walk around quite a bit. So if you ever do see Dr. Blake, you know, say hi to her. She's really nice. My boss's boss, he's the vice president for the Division of Student Affairs, what I refer to as DSA. But Dr. Hart, he came on board last summer in June. So he has been here for about 13, 14 months now. Very knowledgeable, very engaged. He actually has a little bit of a Campus Right background, which is nice. But he and I work really well together, and I do have a direct line to him. I don't always have to go through my boss to talk to him. And like I said, I've been very happy with him as our VP. He is the 3rd vice president that I've had in 3.5 years, though. So there's been a whole lot of change in the 3.5 years that I've been here. And then my boss is Dr. Cindy Cook. She is the executive director for health and wellness and serves as the director for the counseling services area. She oversees campus rec, counseling services, the health clinic, career services, and veteran services. She's been at the university for, I think, 16 years now. She and I have a wonderful relationship. But I'm also going to say this: if I ever say or do anything that puts you in a situation where you don't feel like I'm listening or doing my job the way that it should be done, you can absolutely go to Dr. Cook. You can send her an email. You can call her. Not that she's ever expecting anybody, but I always want to make sure that y'all know Like, if you're not comfortable dealing with me, if it's a situation that I've created that maybe you just don't feel like I'm going to listen to you, or if I say anything that's, offensive, like it absolutely can happen. Don't ever hesitate to go directly to my supervisor, Dr. Cook, if you don't want to talk to me about it. Okay. But she's fantastic. She comes in the building at least once every like week and a half to 2 weeks. She'll pop her head in and look around and stuff. She doesn't have a background in campus recreation and wellness, and again, she serves as the director for counseling services. Their area it's just blown up. Their usage has just skyrocketed over the last couple of years. So she is extremely busy, but she does have a lot of faith in us as a department. So. All right, our leadership team. You've got me pre-mustache, and I look so much better now. It's not even funny. I choose to be bald. I'm not bald, but I started shaving my head because my mother-in-law had cancer, and so I shaved it for her, and I've just kept it that way. And I just like not having to do my hair every day. April Harris is the coordinator for business and member services. She's been with the university for 20 years now, in a couple of different roles, but she's been with us for about 2.5 years. April's amazing. If y'all are ever in the building and come into the office suite, her office is the one right next to mine. Feel free to poke your head in and introduce yourself. She is literally the sweetest person in the world. I love her to death, and she obviously handles quite a bit for our department. Bryce is no longer actually with our department. He resigned at the beginning of September. He was with us for a little bit, for about a year. Year and a half, and he accepted a position at UT Medical Branch as a research assistant, and he's pursuing a doctorate in public health, I think. So we lost him, but just I haven't updated the slide on this. And then these 5 wonderful people are actually the ones who do a lot of the work for us. So to give y'all a quick kind of reference, and I'm going to talk about this again a little bit. Our department, we oversee an 86,000 square foot facility. We also oversee an entire field complex over at Delta, including outdoor tennis courts, outdoor basketball courts. We are the largest student employer on campus. We have employed, currently we have about 42 student employees. We've had as many as 60 in the past. We have one department, and our department is broken up into 5 different functional areas. So we have business and member services, which April oversees. She has a graduate assistant that helps with member services, but handles all of our reservations and rentals. We have a graduate assistant of facilities and operations. We have a grad assistant for recreational sports, which oversees intramural sports and sport clubs. We have a graduate assistant of marketing and promotions, and we have a graduate assistant of fitness and wellness. So if you take Bryce out of this, it's 2 professional staff and 5 grad assistants. This department is roughly the same size as what we had at SFA. At SFA, we had 7 professional staff members and 9 graduate assistants. So our department, from the day I got here, has been understaffed significantly. We also used to have an assistant director position. He left last October, and we never filled his position because we couldn't afford to, because we were already $350,000 in the red. And again, so Julie, this is where I said I'm going to scare you. I will explain why in a little bit. So right now, our department is operating with 2 professional staff members and 5 grad assistants. On a daily basis, I oversee I do not only my job as director, but I oversee everything related to facilities, everything related to marketing, everything related to fitness and wellness, everything related to recreational sports. I personally have to handle the payroll for 55 student employees, as well as all my professional staff. I am the liaison for facilities management and construction, university marketing and communications. I'm on the campus's equity, diversity, and inclusion work team. I serve as a chair for the division special events and traditions committee. Let's see, I got a lot of other responsibilities. April oversees everything business related. So she oversees everything that for memberships, our Fusion software, every single penny that comes in and out of our department, as well as making sure that we're meeting all university system, state, and federal laws and guidelines. So we're doing all of that with 2 professional staff. The grad assistants, again, are absolutely amazing. They are all master's level students pursuing master's degrees. Karina Avendano is over operations and facilities. She's been with us since we opened. Eleni Rigopoulos graduated in August, but she has stayed on with us through the fall semester to help kind of fill some gaps, and she oversees business and member services, again, focusing on rentals and reservations. Kelsey DeViglis oversees everything fitness and wellness on a day-to-day basis, so everything personal training, group fitness, wellness programming, and some of the special events that we have going on that are fitness focused. Diana Portales oversees all marketing, so every sign, flyer, all social media accounts, everything that you see are made in-house by our students. Diana oversees a marketing staff of 3 students. We get 0 assistance from university marketing and communications, and I cannot stress that enough. Right? They review and approve stuff, but it has been a long time since we actually had anybody from university marketing and communications actually come in and help us do anything. Right? And then Eris White is our grad assistant for recreational sports. So he oversees intramural sports and sport clubs. Over the summer, when Bryce announced that he was leaving, Eris now also oversees 20 fitness assistants on a daily basis. So he actually is in charge of hiring, training, and managing our entire fitness zone staff as well, because that was too much for Kelsey to be able to take on with everything group fitness and personal training. So again, I'm painting this picture of the fact that I think we're even beyond Band-Aids. I think we're down to duct tape and tissue paper. So that's kind of where we're at as a staff. And yeah, I'm seeing Kristen's face, like, yeah. And I'm saying this not for any other reason, but like I generally get to work at 6 a.m. I generally leave at 5 or 6 p.m. I'm used to working about 55 to 70 hours a week, including weekends. So, I mean, it's just how it is right now. So, all right. So I'm going to skip through a couple of things. I do want to hit on this. So our vision is very simple, and I said this at the beginning. We want to create engaged hawk soaring in health and happiness, and we are big believers that if people take care of themselves from a health standpoint, that they will be happy. And that's kind of the point of life is, you know, life's too short to be miserable. And I think Colin said it really well, especially now, like COVID sucks. There's nothing fun about COVID. I know we've all figured out ways to deal with it, but in all honesty, like it sucks. It's taken us out of our routines. It's kept us from people that we enjoy being around. It's impacted the way that we think about work and school. It just sucks. But we try to be as optimistic as we can, but we also live in reality. So it is what it is. All right. We have 8 departmental values that we very much believe in, and you do not have to put anything in the comments because we are definitely just going to fly through these. Our number 1 value is safety. Above all other things, safety is it. Especially, this was before COVID. COVID did not change our value rankings. Safety has always been our number 1 priority. And again, to scare people, when I got hired, people thought that I, as the director, would be here to unlock the building, turn the lights on, swipe IDs, clean the facility, be your personal trainer, teach your group fitness classes, ref intramural sports, clean the locker room, sell the memberships, go to orientation, promote memberships in the community, do all those things, and then also lock down the building, lock the doors, turn off the lights, so on and so forth. They did not plan in any way, shape, or form for this building to actually function as a facility. All right. So our number 1 priority is safety, and through that value, we have said that it takes at minimum 4 staff members, student staff members, to be on shift at any given time because of the size and the scope of our building. People still don't believe that. In our budgets, and then what we call the pro forma, which is our 30-year budget plan, anybody want to take a guess at how much money they allocated to student staff to be able to actually operate this building? Colin, you already know the answer, so hush.
Over how many years?
So our pro forma is like a 30-year budget map.
Okay.
And inside of that, think of your personal budgets. Like you have rent or mortgage, you have groceries, cell phone bill, and stuff like that. So all those line items. So the line item in our pro forma that's dedicated for student, staff, employees. Anybody want to guess how much money they allocated in that line item?
Was it something like 500K?
A little bit lower.
Low.
And by a little bit lower, I mean
250?
500K lower than 500K. They allocated $0 to the actual operation of this facility.
My gosh.
And I will say this, not a single person that was part of that is still employed by this university. Okay. So again, Safety is number one. All of our students are first aid CPR certified. When we hire a student, and again, this is a misconception. Oh, we just hire students and put them out there. Cool. Our students go through at least 22 hours of onboarding and training before they ever set foot on the floor. All right. So, yeah, I think I've handled that one home. Diversity. This is a big deal for us. It always has been. It's become more of a big. It's become even more prevalent to the university since the murder of George Floyd back in May. We have always had a departmental internal committee that has been focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Unfortunately, we never really did much with it in the first 2 years that we were open because we were so understaffed that we just couldn't spend the amount of time that we really wanted to dedicated specifically to diversity. In May, again, after the murder of George Floyd, we put this committee back together. Over the entire summer, we spent a lot of time as a leadership team talking about EDI and its impact on campus recreation and wellness and how we as a department wanted to respond to the university climate. We did a lot of educating ourselves throughout the summer. We had bi-weekly meetings as a leadership team focusing solely on EDI. The university created the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion work team. I volunteered to be on that. I was chosen as one of the 3 representatives from the Division of Student Affairs. And so I'm very excited about these opportunities. EDI is huge for us. And I always kind of share my personal story on this. I grew up in Nacogdoches, Texas, and Julie's been in Nacogdoches, and some of you are from Texas, so you may know, but I grew up in a very, white East Texas town. I grew up in a high school that we had one high school in town. I didn't have a lot of friends that didn't look like me growing up. I just didn't. And I'd never really realized that until I got to college. And once I got into, especially when I transferred to UT Austin and I started working in campus recreation and wellness, it opened up my eyes to all these new people that I had never been around for an extended period of time growing up. And so I know the power that campus recreation and wellness can have on creating social engagement for people, and also the environmental impact that our department and our facility can have in terms of creating a space for all students. And so we've spent a lot of time over the summer talking about the 8 domains of holistic wellness and what we as a department need to do better to make sure that we don't just say that we're a facility and a department for everybody, that we actually prove it on a day in and day out basis. And so again, I'll share more information about that more probably in October, but we are rolling out our first set of programs that are being done in conjunction with student organizations, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, which is September 15th through October 15th. We have a Latinx event with Lista on October 15th. We've got social media campaign that's going on now, celebrating different pop culture individuals, athletes, cultural icons from Central and South America that our marketing team has been working on for weeks now. And like I said, we're also very much, KKK meetings. I don't know if those happen in Nacogdoches, but I wouldn't be surprised. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a small town. There was no one in that town outside of white population, and there was one of my friends was actually biracial, and she would leave town that weekend that they came in.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know it's always frowned upon, especially when white people say this. Oh, I have a black friend. When I came into campus recreation and wellness at UT Austin, I very much was surrounded by people who look like me. And I met a guy named Jared Jackson from Sulphur Springs, and he and I butted heads quite a bit because we were both really good flag football officials. I was better, but it is what it is. That was 21 years ago. He is my dearest and closest friend in the entire world. I talk to him 2 to 3 times a week. And so I very proudly can say that my best friend that I've ever had in my entire life is a gay black man. I'm so excited to be able to say that because I know that he also says that he has a dumbass white bald friend with a terrible mustache. But like he's the godfather of one of my kids. He is part of our family. We celebrate holidays together, and because of him, I know that he has changed who I am as a person. So I want to make sure, again, using my own personal experience, this department can do that. It can create those relationships. It can create those connections that do lead to lifelong friends and really just family members. So anyway, moving on, leadership development is a huge deal for us. Again, we use our student development, our student staff positions to develop students. None of our students are going into campus recreational wellness as professionals. And if they do, it's maybe 1 out of 100. But we look at the opportunity that students work for us. We are developing their skills to make them more employable when they graduate. And so we have integrated a lot of student development theory into our trainings, as well as having monthly in-service meetings where we do a lot of assessment check-ins. Right now, we're working on the leadership skill assessment that we are going to start measuring skill development in our operations manager, which is our highest level of student employee. They're the ones who actually operate the building when we're not here. We want to encourage excellence. We're never going to do anything perfect. We know that, but we're going to do everything to the highest level possible. And so when we put out programs, we make sure that what we put out there, we're not half-assing it. I'm a huge fan of Parks and Rec. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. Ron Swanson is like one of my favorite characters of all time. And he has one of the greatest quotes of all time, which is, you don't half-ass 2 things, you whole-ass 1. And so we could put out dozens of programs, but they wouldn't be the quality that would really create engagement to a level that we are willing to deal with. So we will do fewer programs if that means that we can do those programs exceptionally well. Right? We want to instill integrity through community teamwork and building trust. Again, transparency is a huge deal for me. I want to make sure that more people know what we're actually doing, what we're going through, why we're doing the things that we're doing. And again, if there's ever a time where y'all have a question about it, don't ever hesitate to ask. All right, it's not a bad thing. Okay. We want to build community through meaningful relationships and positivity. Again, one of the aspects of Campus Rec that people didn't really understand when they decided to build this facility was the impact that it was going to have on campus. Now, that doesn't mean that we're the end-all be-all. Again, half the students that go to this university will never set foot in this building. There's nothing we can do about it. All right, I think Julie will agree with this, that some people, they don't care at all about physical activity, coming in a rec center. It doesn't matter to them. We have to be willing to accept that to a level, but we do know that this facility can lead to a stronger sense of community and a stronger connection for students to the university in and of itself. And the last thing is holistic well-being. All right. So to explain that really fast, we don't look at what we do through one lens. We look at holistic health and well-being through 8 different domains of wellness. Obviously, physical wellness kind of goes without saying that, being physically active helps you. All right, it strengthens you. It makes you stronger. It makes you healthier. Hopefully, makes you happier. But we also look at social wellness. So again, creating that community, creating those relationships. We look at emotional wellness. How well do people actually know themselves? And again, I suffer from anxiety. Not nearly as bad as I used to, but I also had a pretty sustained period of time where I was probably on a spectrum of depression. And so it's important to understand that participating and being engaged with Campus Rec and Wellness also has an emotional impact on that. And I'm a big believer in the concept of emotional intelligence, which again, I'm not going into a soapbox on that today. Environmental wellness is also a huge deal for us, especially now that people need to feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves. That there is a very vocal population of students on this campus that don't feel like this is a safe space for them, that they feel like this is a space where they have to keep their guards up, that they don't always belong. And that's really disheartening to hear as a staff member, but it is also something that we don't get to just dismiss because we don't see it. And so we want to make sure that the environment that people are experiencing when they come into campus recreational wellness is one that does exemplify being something for everybody. Financial wellness is also a huge component. That if you're in debt, if you're bad managing money, that's going to impact every other aspect of your life. There's also massive financial issues that are going to come around if you don't physically take care of yourself. Anybody want to know how much a back surgery costs? I did it twice, and that's $85,000 I'll never get back. All right. Occupational wellness, again, we are developing students to be better employees for somebody else. We are giving them experiential learning opportunities through their experience with us. Psychological wellness, again, the mind and the body are not two separate things that don't interact with each other. That people who suffer from stress, anxiety, depression, ADHD, physical activity actually impacts that in a positive way. There are more and more studies coming out every single month and year that illustrate that even better than what they've done in the past. And so we want to make sure that we have a very close relationship with counseling services. To that point, I have a meeting with them today to talk about a referral program that's based on something that's called exercise as medicine. And people who go to counseling services for psychological services, in their intake with that department, they're going to be asked about their physical wellness. And if they have any interest in adding physical activity as part of a potential action plan from a counselor or a psychologist, they are going to be able to be referred to our department for a discount or free personal training services as part of this referral program. We're really excited about it, and it's something that I don't care how much it costs. Like, if this is successful, this is going to be worth every single penny that we go into the red to make it happen. So we're really excited about that. And then the last part of holistic well-being for us is intellectual wellness. That, again, physical activity changes the way your brain functions. It makes the ability for you to understand, comprehend, remember information easier. And again, there's more and more studies that are being done right now on the impact of physical activity and how well you perform in an academic setting. All right. So again, I know I kind of breezed through all these. I'll be doing multiple more presentations on these throughout the year, but this is what I mean when I say this is the impact we have on campus. And unfortunately, most people only think of us as a gym. So one thing I'm going to say to all of you, don't ever call this a gym again. We said it today, and I'll let it slide, but if I hear any of you say gym again, I will punch you in the face. I'm kidding, I won't punch you in the face. All right. I'll just frown at you and give you a dirty look. All right. All right, so I'm going to blow through a couple more of these. Just so y'all know, again, we have one department. We have multiple functional areas underneath that. So again, we have facilities and operations, which again, Karina oversees the day-to-day stuff. So we have a water leak in a roof. Karina takes care of that. We have power issues. She takes care of that. We have custodial issues. She takes care of that. Obviously, the Rec and Wellness Center is our cornerstone facility. But we also have the Delta Complex, the backyard, and what will be called the rec field. Operations is the actual staff that are here on a daily basis. So all of our front desk staff, they check people in and out, conduct the wellness checks, so on and so forth. Business and member services, we have a very small student staff of member services assistants that sit in our office suite, and they answer phones, they deal with people as they come in, help people get through Fusion and RW Connect, which is our online platform for people being able to buy memberships or sign up for services. And then marketing and promotions. Again, every single thing that you see on social media or in our facility was designed and created by our students. All right. Programming, we have fitness and wellness, and they oversee group fitness, personal training, and all wellness services. And then recreational sports is intramural sports and sport clubs. We do have 4 current sport clubs. We're trying to expand that, but with COVID, it's really tough. All right. Again, all of our student, staff, employees go through about an 8-hour all-team training every semester. They go through anywhere from 6 to 12 hours of area-specific training. We have monthly in-service meetings. They also have to complete all of their state and university-required human resources trainings on an annual basis. We also require them to be American Red Cross First Aid CPR AED certified. That's a 4-hour course in person and a 3-hour course online. We do what's called red mannequin drill. So we routinely check their skills to make sure they know how to do it. And they do monthly in-service related to different aspects based on whatever we think is most prevalent for that. So like October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we'll probably focus on like heart attacks or cardiac arrest, and then again, CPR. Okay, biggest issues that CRAB is going to be dealing with, and we got 20 minutes, and so I'm just going to go through these as fast as I can. COVID-19, that is the #1 thing where everybody in the world is dealing with. The reopening guidelines are available on our website, but it's about a 40 some odd page document that outlines everything that we're doing, broken down by phases. We are in currently phase 3. But let's say all of a sudden the numbers in Houston start going through the roof again, we would potentially move back to phase 2 or phase 1. Phase 1 is we're closed, we can't do anything for anybody, all right? COVID-19 has absolutely created a very delicate balancing act for us between safety and engagement. I'm very confident in the standards and guidelines that we have in place for being able to operate. We have had no issues since we reopened in August. We had no issues in June when we reopened as well. The decision to close at the end of June was one that was based on the university. It had nothing to do with anything that we as a department were doing. We obviously have restrictions on our programming right now, and our hope is to start bringing back very small in-person group fitness and intramural sports around Spirit Week, which is October 12th through the 16th. And by that, we would be able to have anywhere from 4 to 6 people actually in person with our group fitness classes, but we would continue to stream those for free for anybody that wanted to do it online. We have restricted access. Nobody gets in this building for free. We have not been promoting our non-student membership options off of campus. We hope to start doing that again at the very end of October and November. But we're not allowing minors in the facility. We've canceled all free preview access. No more free week-long trials or anything like that. But anybody that shows up, we will still sell a membership to. Loss of revenue. I have a slide about that in a minute, but we've lost a lot. And then we also can't hold major events. And we are working with the Office of Student Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for a November event. Cultural extravaganza, that event at most would be able to see about 100 people in person. But again, we're in the planning stages and it still has to be approved. The number 2 issue, budgets. The dedicated student fee, and again, I have a slide on that, so I'll explain all that in a minute. Policies, I've already gone over the EDI stuff that we're doing, but I do also have a slide. I want to get y'all's just quick feedback on reset of our apparel policy. The 3 that we're absolutely not going to touch on, but to let y'all know, the university is still in the undergoing its strategic plan. I have a 8.5-hour meeting tomorrow and Wednesday, and again next week for 2 straight days to talk about the strategic plan for the university. I will say this though, if any of you have not paid attention to it, you should. The strategic plan does not in any way, shape, or form address or talk about anything about holistic health and wellness. It is very limited in any connection that campus recreation has with any aspect of the strategic plan, which for me as a director is extremely disheartening. There is very much a lack of assessment on our department. We are trying to change that. And like I said, we're going to be doing a year-long assessment of leadership skills and how we are impacting leadership skills of our student staff to help us get to a level where people will actually see us as more than a gym. We also have a severe lack of engagement overall from students. And I think our high for distinct users in a year has been about 33% of the student body has come in our building at least once, which is not good. If you read The Signal last week, they sent out their first edition for the semester. And in that was a pretty lengthy article about the Division of Student Affairs 4 pillars of excellence. None of those 4 pillars talks about health and wellness in any way, shape, or form. So once again, I think that we as a university and as a division missed an opportunity to take advantage of a $36 million facility and everything that is that we do. But it also has to do with the mindset that people don't understand that campus rec and wellness is more than a gym. All 4 of the pillars do connect to an aspect of holistic well-being, but again, people don't see that. And then the last thing, and we'll talk about this more in October, because I'm still in a planning phase internally for this, is we will be conducting an external review in the next 5 months. That would mean that we would bring on campus rec professionals from outside of our university to do a very deep dive into our department and provide us with a very detailed report about short and long-term things that we as a department and university need to address. All right. So real fast, COVID, I've already talked about these, but we have increased our staff training. We've obviously reduced hours, reduced programmings. If you have not been in the building lately, I know Colin has. We have completely changed the layout of the facility. I love our new layout. I think it's fantastic for meeting the needs that we have right now. We have obviously increased our cleaning protocols, and that includes a nightly disinfecting of the entire facility, which we can't thank facility management and construction enough for that. We have made all group fitness free. We normally would charge for the vast majority of group fitness classes. That is all free for everybody. All you have to do is get into RW Connect and register for the class, and then you receive the link to stream it. We're conducting, I think it's 13 classes a week that are all free streaming for all members. We're the only school in the state of Texas that was able to secure this. The Down Dog is multiple apps. I think there's 6 different apps. They're all free. If you download them and use your UHCL email address, you get them all the way until January 1st of 2021 at no cost. And these things are normally pretty expensive. All right. The pro forma. So I'm going to share this, and again, I'm not going to be able to go into depth on it, but this just gives you a little bit of what it may look like. All right. All right, so this is a 30-year picture that gives us a plan. This is how much we should expect in enrollment. This is what we should expect in head count. This is what we should expect in fees. This is where we generate revenue. This is where we have all of our expenses. All right. And again, I have not updated this with COVID because nobody knows what the hell COVID is actually going to do for enrollment. Our enrollment actually was only down about 1%, which is great. There were a lot of schools in the state of Texas that actually saw record enrollment. So people were expecting enrollment to drop significantly. A lot of schools saw enrollment go up. A lot of schools saw it stay the same, but who knows what that's going to look like in the future. So we are currently in FY 2021. So our current fee is $110 per semester. We are looking at about 21,000 heads between fall, summer, and spring, which will generate about $2.3 million. Okay, we'll lose about 100,000 of that to veterans because veterans who are on the Henson-Hazelwood Act, which is the GI Bill, their fees get waived. That's a federal law, so we'll lose about 100 grand of that. We have 0 cash reinvested, which means we have no money transferring over from last year. And then we expect to generate about $60,000 in non-student revenue, which means that our total revenue is going to end up being around $1.8 million. That's not bad, all right? And then you start to throw in all of these things, which are all the things that we have to spend to just be open, all right? And again, these numbers are not accurate, but because I can tell you this, we have $285,000 in professional staff. There's 2 of us, and we don't make that much damn money. All right, so we do have 2 vacant positions that are going to stay vacant for the majority of this fiscal year. That money is being saved and put into our student staff because we have 0 money allocated for that. To operate the building, just to be open, we estimate $347,000. So that's all of our operations staff, our fitness assistants, our member services assistants, and our marketing staff. All right. From a programming standpoint, that's $110,000 projected. Now, again, these have not been updated with the COVID stuff because we didn't know how that was actually going to impact it. But both of these numbers are going to be pretty good chunk lower. So we're not in a bad shape. We're not in bad shape with those. But they also, on an annual basis, allocated $0 to the actual stuff that we have to buy. So we have what's called Fusion Innosoft Fusion. It's a software that when you swipe your ID, it lets you in the building. That also is our web-based platform, RW Connect. It's our scheduling software. It is our inventory software. It's our equipment checkout software. It is integral to our operation. That cost us $10,000 a year that they allocated 0. All right. We also have Neptune Radio. That's the music. That's the commercials that you hear in the building. That's $2,000 a year. They didn't allocate any money for us to have a copy machine. We have to have a copier. So that's another $6 grand a year. So all these things that they allocated no money for, we say it's going to cost us about $100,000. It's that buys cleaning supplies, towels, basketballs, badminton nets, all those things, pens, pencils, folders, clipboards. We just had to find money for that. We pay the university about $53,000 that just automatically goes back to the university, and they split that out to all the different departments that peripherally touch us. So the loading dock, the police department, business services, they all get a little chunk of money because they all help make our department operate. We expect to spend about $60,000 in utilities, so water, AC, heating, and things along those lines. We actually don't know how much it's cost us in the last 2 years. They originally had $160,000 in our first year, but we didn't even break 50, and so we've changed that up, but it's about 60 grand is what we expect. For building maintenance and systems, so this is what we pay facility management and construction. When we have a water leak, they send people over. This pays for those services. This pays for our custodial staff. This pays for toilet paper, cleaning supplies, mops, things like that. We have to pay for our own fire system inspection. So that's $1,500 a year. They come and just make sure that things go off and flash lights. We allocate about $8,000 to mowing and maintaining the field space that we currently have. All right. We are supposed to be setting aside about 5% of our annual budget into a capital renewal plan. I'm just going to go ahead and say that that's $0 because we don't have that money. All right. And so now you're looking at about $1 million, and people are like, oh, well, you're okay. We also have to pay our mortgage for our building, which is about $1.8 million. So out of that 1.8 million we bring in revenue, once we pay our mortgage, we have zero. And so we have $0 to pay for all of that. I'm not seeing people vomit, so at least that's a good sign. Again, we'll get more in depth on this, but I'm just saying it's a really bad situation that we're in. We are minimizing all expenses that we can, but obviously we can't have zero expenses. We still have to pay for stuff. We're understaffed. We're going to continue to be understaffed because we actually feel pretty confident that we'll get through this year without any major issues. But it does create a lot of serious issues for us, okay? Revenue losses. When we shut down in March, the university in May, I'm sorry, I think in April they decided to do this, but we gave back about a 50% refund to all students based on their dedicated fee. So once we did that, we lost about $430,000, give or take, all right? Then the summer, they waived all student fees for anybody that was enrolled in classes, so we lost about another 80 grand. And then we also lost in non-student memberships, and we had a bunch of rentals and reservations. We lost about another 50 grand in that. When we shut down, we were on track to blow past our revenue expectations by about $30,000 or $40,000, which would have been fantastic. Unfortunately, we ended up in about $50,000 short. The CARES Act funding, which was that federal law that got passed, they were able to give us a pretty good chunk of money that made us almost whole. I don't know if we would have that same benefit if we were to have to shut down again. For fall 2020, they have charged all students the full fee. If anything happens in this semester where we have to shut down for an extended period of time, or if we just don't see the numbers, we're going to revisit this in November and December. And the university, I don't make this decision. The university will make a decision if we do give back any refunds for the dedicated student fee. All right. And if that were to happen, I would obviously come to y'all and say, hey, so this is potentially happening. What are y'all's thoughts? And then you can say, absolutely, we need to give people money back, or you know what? They had the chance. They could have come and used the building. We'll have that conversation if we need to. All right. The dedicated fee. When I met with Dr. Hart and Dr. Cook in June this summer, Dr. Hart gave me 2 departmental priorities. Number 1, increase our dedicated student fee from $110 to $150 per semester. Oh, nobody's shaking their heads, okay? And the number 2 priority was reduce expenses, all right? So in spring of 2020, we actually proposed a 10% increase on the dedicated student fee. That 10% increase does not have to be approved by anybody except the president and the Board of Regents. That would have been a $9 increase All right. And we would have been able to do that, like I said, without any student input. I don't think that that would have been smart on our part to not talk to students about it. So I said, no, we need to go to SGA. We need to tell students that this is potentially happening. All right. The way this happened, we were not part of the process. We submitted it. The vice president for admin and finance took this, as well as I think it was 6 other fee increases, and they just did a very general presentation to SGA. They did not include us in any way, shape, or form. Of all the fee increases, they took a vote on every single one. Our fee was the one that the students voted against, and I think it was like 31 to 28. It still went to the president. She saw that the SGA had voted against it. Therefore, she said no. All right. I'm okay with that. I have 0 issues with it. All right. I'm not okay with the process, but I'm okay that the students voted against it because we didn't do our due diligence and we didn't have the opportunity to really show what that fee, how it would have impacted us. If we wanted to go from 110 to 150, we would have to go all the way back and do an entire referendum. That's how the original referendum was written. When Dr. Hart told me this, I told him that this is not the year to do that. Between COVID, between where students are, we absolutely do not need to say, you owe us more money. I didn't want to do that. Does anybody feel otherwise? Okay. So we will talk about this later on in the year, but we will have to look at doing a raise in the student fee, or we're going to have to look at other ways that we're either going to cut expenses. And by that, I mean, cut hours of operation, because that's the only one that really does have a true impact on our overall budget. Or we're going to have to look at start charging students for everything that's not just walking in the building. All right, so there's not a lot of really good things that are going to come if we don't ever raise the fee, but there's also a big thing that could happen if we do raise the fee. So we're going to talk about that, and I'll share with y'all what my plans are and what we hope to be able to do by raising the fee, because it's not just, hey, we want more money so we can do, so we can, be fancier. If we raise more, if we had a more fee, we could actually build more things. We could provide more programming for free. We could do more things that students wouldn't have to pay for. Okay. And we are definitely running short on time. I've already talked a lot about the equity, diversity, and inclusion stuff. Apparel. We started going back through this over the summer, and what we realized was that our apparel policy had a massive impact on what females could wear, not so much about what males could wear. So we rewrote our policy, which is right here under the new proposal. I'll give you all a second to look at that. But essentially, we tried to simplify it. And we also got a lot of examples from other schools. There were about 10 other schools over the summer that also went back and were revising their apparel policy, and they shared their information with us. So this policy is very much in line with our overall policy, but what it addresses is the fact that women's athletic apparel is designed differently than men's apparel, and we never really acknowledge those differences. And so what we want to do is we want to change it. This would be the verbiage, but this is this slide is what we would actually have visible in the facility that makes it simpler. So it would give us more ability to not have to deal with apparel as opposed to having to enforce a policy. All right. So again, our number one value is safety. The reason we have apparel policies in place is for safety. We want to make sure that people are minimizing skin to pad contact, because that's where MRSA can be transmitted and other, viruses, COVID being another one. So the more apparel you have on your body, the less things that you're physically touching with your skin, the safer you really are going to be. So really and truly, you can wear everything that looks like this. We're still going to police these 4 things down at the bottom. All right. So this is not the final approval or anything. Once we get the actual language done and we get our graphics made, I will send those to y'all in the next probably week or 2 and let y'all give me back any feedback or anything like that. Okay. But I'm just giving y'all a heads up that this is going to be coming down the barrel for y'all.
Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. I'm not sure if you said this. Who was it that brought this to their attention? Oh, you. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so one of the things we did, and again, I kind of glossed over this with the EDI, but over the summer, we did a very, very short internal review. And so when we went back through our master policies and procedures, we looked at it through an EDI lens, and not just in black, white, race, EDI. We looked at this from a gender standpoint, as a socioeconomic standpoint, and what so we changed a lot of things about our staff apparel as well. We used to require staff to wear khakis. Well, that's a financial burden if somebody doesn't own khakis. And a lot of our staff work 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week. So if they bought one pair of khakis, like, is that enough if they work multiple shifts, or now they're having to do laundry? And I was like, you know what, let's just get rid of that, and they can wear athletic shorts or pants because it's okay. And this was the same thing. We started looking at it, and it was like, man, we really are only policing female apparel, because we've had guys that have come in a shirt like this and this, but it's very few and far between. But we had a lot of females that were coming in with, Adidas, Under Armour athletic tops that they're just designed differently than men. And so I was like, well, we need to talk about this. And we just got lucky that a lot of other schools were talking about it at the same time. And again, I still meet every week with anywhere from 20 to 30 directors in the state, and we're sharing this information with each other as well. So, all right.
Great. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And now, again, I pointed at myself, like there was a team of us. I'm the one who really brought out man, this is really sexist. What are we going to do about it? And I handed this over to Karina and her program assistant, Sana, and they're the ones who actually were doing some research on it. And I sent them 5 or 6 samples from other schools that had been sent to me. And so they're putting together the language and stuff. So it's a team effort. And we know the graphic is better than the verbiage. People aren't going to read paragraphs of policy, but they'll look at a picture. And if we get the graphic right, the graphic would be something we could put in the lobby, and we can put like on the website and in social media and things like that. So, and on that note, we're also looking at the fact that we've always wanted to help celebrate like veterans. Unfortunately, the Veteran Services Office has had a lot of turnover in their leadership staff. They have a new assistant director now, but the old coordinator who was here for 2 years, she just left. And so Ingrid is the new assistant director. We're working on her with a potential Veterans Day event, maybe having an outdoor family-focused Veterans Day event on a Saturday, and maybe having a movie for veterans and their families in the backyard space and stuff like that. So this EDI lens has really opened up a lot of things that we've talked about doing for years, and now it's time to go. So. All right, well, I have talked way too much. So we are absolutely at 9:31. So if you've got to go, I understand. But is there any other like major questions pressing that anybody wants to throw out there right now? Okay. Well, hearing none, then I'm going to stop this recording.